The first transmission arrived on a quiet night over Earth, slipping through satellites and military relays as easily as a blade through water. It was translated within seconds, projected across command centers, and replayed on every secured channel. "We have observed your species," the alien voice declared, calm and scathing. "You hide behind machines, missiles, and distance. You lack honor. You lack courage. Humanity is a race of cowards." The speakers identified themselves as the Karzul Dominion, a multi-system empire whose fleets eclipsed stars and whose generals were said to have conquered 100 civilizations. Their armada had entered the solar system without resistance, parking beyond Mars like a waiting executioner. The insult was not accidental. It was bait. And it worked. For 3 days, Earth's leaders debated retaliation, surrender, diplomacy. Analysts calculated casualty projections that reached into the billions. Conventional warfare was suicide. Nuclear deterrence meant mutual extinction, assuming the aliens even cared. But buried beneath layers of black budgets, beneath myths and denials, humanity had another option. Something ancient. Something whispered. In a windowless chamber beneath the Arctic ice, Director Mara Ellison stood before a council that technically did not exist. The seal on the door behind her read simply, "Project FABLE." "General," she said, turning to a man with steel-gray hair and eyes like cracked stone, "they called us cowards." General Rourke didn't smile. They shouldn't have done that. Project FABLE had begun centuries earlier, when folklore researchers noticed patterns across cultures, stories of monsters that weren't merely symbolic. Creatures that appeared during wars, plagues, invasions. Legends that shared details across continents long before global contact. The conclusion had been unthinkable but undeniable. Some myths were real, and some were still alive. The Boogeyman was the first humanity found, or perhaps the first that found humanity. He did not have a name, only titles passed from terrified mouths. He lived in the spaces between certainty, shadows under beds, corners of ruined buildings, the moment before sleep claimed consciousness. He fed on fear, but not mindlessly. Fear sharpened him. Purpose gave him form. The Baba Yaga was older, much older. She came from the forests of Eastern Europe, from stories of a witch who lived in a house on chicken legs, who ate the wicked and tested the brave. But that was the simplified version, the children's tale. In reality, Baba Yaga was a force of judgment, a being tied to thresholds between life and death, courage and cowardice, predator and prey. She could not be controlled, only pointed. For centuries, humanity had avoided waking them fully. Until now. When the Karzul Dominion broadcast their second message, this one listing Earth cities as future harvest zones, Project FABLE received activation authority. The sky above the alien flagship, triumphant dread, rippled like disturbed water. Sensors screamed. Spatial metrics collapsed into nonsense. The Karzul generals watched in disbelief as darkness itself peeled open, not a hole but an absence, as if reality had forgotten how to exist. From that absence stepped the Boogeyman. He was tall, but only because fear demanded it. His form shifted with every observer, becoming whatever their minds found most terrifying. To the Karzul, he appeared as a skeletal hunter wrapped in living shadow, eyes like collapsing stars. He did not announce himself. He simply began. Entire decks went silent as lights failed and gravity stuttered. Warriors armed with plasma rifles fired wildly, only to realize their shots vanished into the dark. The Boogeyman did not attack bodies first. He attacked certainty. Soldiers felt something behind them, then nowhere. Hallways stretched longer than they should. Reflections moved independently. Commanders heard whispers in their native tongues, secrets spoken by voices they had buried centuries ago. Fear bloomed, and with it, the boogeyman grew stronger. On Earth, monitors tracked alien neural activity spiking beyond known limits. Species that had engineered their own emotions now screamed like children. Then came the second opening. This one did not tear the sky. It cracked it. A spiral of frost and embers twisted into existence near the Dominion's forward fleet. From it emerged a structure that made no sense to alien sensors, a wooden house standing in vacuum, balanced impossibly on massive avian legs carved from bone. The house turned. The Karzul admirals watched as the front door creaked open. Baba Yaga stepped out. She appeared as an old woman, hunched and wrapped in tattered shawls, but her eyes burned with the weight of eras. In one hand she carried a mortar, in the other a pestle etched with runes older than language. She sniffed the void like a forest breeze. She muttered. Arrogant prey. Her house screeched, the sound piercing hulls and minds alike. Then it leapt. The Baba Yaga did not inspire fear the way the boogeyman did. She inspired inevitability. Ships targeted her, unleashing barrages that could shatter moons. The beams bent away, curving like frightened animals. Missiles froze mid-flight, crystallizing into useless debris. She gestured once. A cruiser imploded, not exploded, but folded inward, crushed by invisible hands as if judged unworthy of existence. Another ship aged 1,000 years in seconds, metal rusting, reactors failing, crew turning to dust. This one is cruel, Baba Yaga said, pointing at a dreadnought. This one is clever. This one thinks itself righteous. The dreadnought's engines died. Inside, its general found himself standing in a forest that should not exist, trees towering like cathedral pillars. Before him stood Baba Yaga, now 10 feet tall, teeth like iron. She leaned close. Run, she whispered. He did. He ran until his heart failed. Meanwhile, the boogeyman reached the flagship's command sanctum. The supreme general of the Karzul, armored and augmented, stood defiant even as his guards fled screaming into darkness. You are nothing but a trick, the general snarled. The boogeyman tilted his head. He reached out and showed the general every conquered world, every child extinguished, every lie told in the name of strength. The general fell to his knees. The boogeyman did not kill him. He left him alive, alone, blind, and afraid. Within hours, the Dominion fleet was in full retreat. Ships fled through unstable jump points, colliding, vanishing, tearing themselves apart in panic. No coherent orders remained. On Earth, humanity watched in stunned silence. Project FABLE's analysts realized something terrifying. Neither entity was operating at full capacity. They were holding back. When the last alien vessel vanished beyond the heliopause, the boogeyman paused. He turned, not toward Earth, but toward the stars. Fear lingered there, and fear was a call. Enough, Director Ellison whispered into the void, activating the recall protocols. They were not commands, more like requests, wrapped in respect and ancient bargains. The Baba Yaga's house turned once more. She looked back at Earth, eyes unreadable. You still have much to learn, she said. Do not become what you fear. Then she vanished. The boogeyman lingered longer, his form thinning as the fear subsided. Before he dissolved into shadow, a single thought echoed across secure channels worldwide. Remember who you really are. The aftermath reshaped the galaxy.